I'm Bernadette Wagner, and I'd like to welcome you to today's episode of Healing, Hope, and Help, proudly brought to you by Hospice of Washington County. This program was created to educate the public, to thank the business leaders and donors that support hospice, and to highlight Hospice of Washington County's hardworking, dedicated staff. Today, it's my pleasure to take you behind the scenes and to introduce a member of hospice's staff that is rarely seen by those we serve, but has almost definitely talked to every single one of them. Joanne Ellis is in charge of the LPN support services, and in that role handles more calls on any given day than you can possibly imagine. If you have ever called or plan to call Hospice Washington County, it's very likely that you have or will talk to Joanne, who I refer to as the voice of Hospice of Washington County. Welcome, Joanne. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me, Bernadette.
Yes, it's a pleasure. Can you tell us a little bit about your role and what you do and who you talk to?
Well, I talk to a little bit of everybody. I'm in charge of the triage phone calls that come into hospice. If people have a problem, have a need, it comes to me, and then I delegate or talk to whoever needs to take care of it. We have patients that need medications ordered. We have families calling that their family is ready and wants to use a hospital bed. I can take care of ordering all that stuff for them. There are times I know people call in and they want to speak to their RNs, their case managers, but a lot of times they're out in the field. They're taking care of other people. So I will take the call and do what I can to help them, and then guarantee them that I will get a hold of their own case manager and make them aware of what is going on.
And sometimes you also take calls from staff as well, right?
Yes, ma'am. There's times the staff calls. I set up transportation. A lot of times there are people that need to go to doctor's appointments, sometimes in Baltimore, sometimes it's even just local appointments here in Hagerstown, but I will set up those with the transportation system and have that taken care of for them.
Okay. And do sometimes physicians contact you too, also to help take care of patient needs?
A lot of times it's medications and stuff like that. I'll get prescriptions for medications. Sometimes if a patient is low on medicine and they need local pickup, like, you know, from one of the pharmacies here in Hagerstown, and I'll take care of getting the information and faxing that through to the doctors, and then letting the nurses know that the medication has been ordered and it could be picked up and delivered to the patient.
And what sort of problems do family members call in when they're worried about their loved one, or what do the patients themselves ever call in?
There's patients that call in sometimes. They have problems with shortness of breath. They have physical problems. Sometimes nervous problems, whatever. We do have packs in the home with medications in to help take care of these. So I will talk to the patients or the family members and find out what their issue is, and then tell them what medication or whatever they can take to help with the problem, and then I will notify the RN case manager of the issue at hand and what I suggested for the patient to do.
Okay. Yeah, and Joanne, I know that sometimes you wind up talking with family members who their loved one just received a terminal diagnosis. How do you know what to say to them? What do you say to them?
It's kind of hard, but it's like, say what you would want to hear if you were in the same situation. Most times when phone calls comes in that they've just got a diagnosis like that, a terminal diagnosis, and are looking for hospice, then it's passed forward to the access department to let them talk to them. But there's times that they call, like someone has just passed away, they need just someone to talk to for a couple minutes, and I just sit and listen.
I know I have been by your desk when standing in the accessed area, and I've heard you take these calls, and it strikes me that you're this wonderful listening presence. How does that feel to you when you have that privilege of being present to somebody like that?
It's an honor. It's an honor to be able to share this with people, to have them talk with me and feel that they can talk to me, and we'll take care of what they need.
That's great. And how many phone calls do you handle on an average day?
Well, actually, anywhere. You had said something to me about this, and actually, I counted them yesterday, and it was like 35 actual phone calls that I wrote down. There's other, little phone calls here, but there's been plenty more than that.
Mm-hmm. I think you one time told me you handle as many as 60 or 70 calls a day.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, that phone must feel like it's stuck in your ear.
Sometimes it does, yes, ma'am.
Do you ever have a chance to meet the people that you speak to on the phone? I mean, I know so many people have talked to you, but do you ever get to connect with them personally?
I have started going to the services that they have, the remembrance services they have. And normally they will announce the names of the patients that have passed, and the families will stand. And then I can kind of put a face to voices, and I will go up and introduce myself.
And I'm sure that they appreciate all the support that you've given them.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes, they do. It's very nice.
I was wondering, Joanne, you've been with hospice for 6.5 years. Do you have any particular memories that are poignant to you, that stand out in your memory?
The thing is, Bernadette, every day is a memory. Okay, if there's something that I can do to help one of our patients or help a family member, and that is a remembrance to me.
So every day is
a
special.
memory. Yes, every day is special to me.
Well, thank you so much, Joanne, for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so pleased that Joanne could be on today's program, and happy for the opportunity to put a face with the voice of hospice of Washington County. Joanne and other members of the hospice access staff may not always have opportunities to meet patients and families face to face, but their competence in their role leads to the success of the entire organization as it strives to provide the best possible care. We'll be right back after these short messages.
I'm the hometown favorite.
I'll outsmart you.
I will beat you.
I'll be surrounded by fans cheering me on.
There's no place like home for fighting cancer.
My turf.
My time.
My team.
Expert care, close to home. The John R. Marsh Cancer Center at Meritus Health.
Arbors Carson Jewelers has been your community jeweler for over 110 years. We have the region's largest selection of diamonds, designer jewelry, including bridal, gold, and silver fashion jewelry, and fine Swiss timepieces. We strive to combine quality, expert personal attention, and affordable financing to create an exceptional shopping experience aimed at exceeding your expectations. At Carson's Jewelers, there's something for everyone that will bring a smile to that someone special in your life.
Hi, I am Dr. Olenzak at the Pain and Spine Institute. I specialize in the most advanced procedures and technology available in pain management. At your visits and procedures, you will always see me for continuity of care. I would like to thank all of my patients for allowing me to provide you with the specialized care that you need. To give you this level of care requires a team. This is your team at the Pain and Spine Institute. To become a patient, call 301-739-7900 or go to painfree-md.com.
Welcome back. Our next guest, Ricky Myers, has worked her way up the nursing ladder. She started as a certified nursing assistant, then became an LPN, and went on to earn her RN from Frederick Community College in 2013. Having stepped on every rung of the ladder, she has a great appreciation for the specialized skills and responsibilities of each position. Her past experience includes working with patients suffering with dementia, those on ventilators, and those who required skilled nursing care. She's been a nurse with Hospice of Washington County since last September and is also the mother of 2 young children. She joins us today to talk about how she balances work demands and home life and manages to bring positive energy to both roles. Welcome, Ricky.
Thank you.
So glad you could be here. I'm sure we'll start off, I'm going to ask you the names of your children. I don't want them to think that we forgot to mention them. So how old are they and what are their names?
I have 2 children. My oldest is Caden. He's just turned 3 years old. He's my leap day baby. And Emma is my youngest. She is just over a year old.
That's terrific. So congratulations.
Thank you.
So being both a young mother and a hospice nurse can be very demanding. Both roles in themselves are individually demanding, and together I'm sure can be a lot on your plate. How do you go about finding support within your team? How does the hospice team role work to support you?
Well, I'm part of the Patient Access Support Services Department. So we are not one of the 4 teams that a patient is assigned to once they're enrolled in hospice care. We're the one who goes out, locates, educates, advocates, and then supports. So once we find patients, we educate them on the services that we can provide. We advocate for them if those services are appropriate. And then once a patient is enrolled, we support them during off hours. Now, we have admissions nurses that work during the day, and then those of us that work at night. I know after a particularly difficult admission, I have reached out often to the day shift staff and my other on-call nurses to kind of talk me through it. This job isn't for the faint of heart.
Right.
And there are some admissions that touch you. So many times I've called my coworkers, I've cried, I've needed that emotional support. I had some health problems last year, and my coworkers were wonderful about not only supporting me through what I was going through, but stepping in and helping me support my patients and fill my role.
I think that that must be so meaningful to know that you have a team approach for your patients, but also to know that your colleagues care and support you.
This is a very wonderful and unique group of individuals. I've never worked with anyone like that before.
So Ricky, there's a quote at the bottom of your email when you send out emails. Can you tell us what that quote says and tell us why you chose to share that message with everybody on each email?
It's an adaptation of a poem, and I had kind of shortened the last stanza. It says, "If I can ease one life the aching, I shall not live in vain." A lot of people spend their whole lives looking for their purpose, and those of us at hospice have found ours. We believe in our mission, and our mission is to help ease some of that ache.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. What strategies do you employ to bring such positive energy? How do you meditate? Do you just spend time with your family? What do you do to stay positive in both your work life and your home life?
Well, I do a couple things. First, a long time ago, my best friend told me the best piece of advice I'd ever gotten, and that was that life is about perspective. So I'm a work in progress. I'm not perfect, but I do try to change my perspective. That's also helped me identify with a lot of my patients and what they're going through, and their families as well. I bake. Hand-making bread is very good for stress relief, but most importantly, I have my kids.
That's terrific. Well, and speaking of your children, do they know what you do, and do you have the opportunity to talk with them about taking care of the dying?
They do. My son, being only 3, can still read. He reads the hospice on my shirt or my lab coat. They know when I'm going to work, and they'll ask if I'm going to help people. I lost my brother last year, so they had a personal experience with death. And as far as developmentally appropriate, I do try to let them know that death is not a bad thing. It is a normal part of living. It doesn't mean that we don't love someone, and that grief will vary. Everybody grieves differently, but I support them. They are beginning to understand the concept, and they know that sometimes mommy has to make sacrifices because she has people at work that have important situations.
That's terrific. Well, Ricky, thank you so much for being here and for sharing your story with us. I really appreciate it. Knowing that Ricky is so very busy yet took time to join us on Healing, Hope, and Health fills me with gratitude. I'm grateful to her for joining us and grateful to you for tuning in to today's program. I was wondering if any of you have had the opportunity to talk with young children or even teens about death. If you'd like to share your experience or offer words of wisdom, please send them to info@hospiceofwashingtoncounty.org, and we'll post them anonymously on our Facebook page. Thanks. We'll be right back after these short messages.
People don't realize it takes a lot to care for a family member in your home. John's dad was very headstrong, so I think that was a lot for him to get over and try to come to terms with that he had terminal illness. I would recommend everybody to get hospice involved at the get-go. When you first learn about it, get it set up, it's going to make it, I mean, it's terrible what you're going through already, but it's going to make it easier for you in the long run because we couldn't have done it without them.
Call Hospice today. Hospice of Washington County, when time matters most. From the smallest item of jewelry to the largest ceramic elephant, every 10,000 Villages handcrafted product makes a remarkable journey.
All over the world, our products travel similar paths, over thousands of miles and years of artistic tradition. Our handcrafted gifts represent work that builds villages and sustains souls. They are the dream of a better life made real. Every product is a miracle.
Welcome back to Healing, Hope, and Help. Behind every effective organization is a well-managed human resources department. It's my pleasure to introduce Lara Shepard, Hospice of Washington County's new Director of Human Resources. Lara, who has more than 20 years of experience in hospice HR management, joins us today to share her goals to strengthen the organization. She's particularly interested in increasing supportive technology and supporting the staff. Welcome, Lara. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So glad you could make it. So before we get started with the interview questions, just tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, where you grew up, where you went to school, you know, that kind of thing.
Sure. I'm homegrown here in Washington County, Maryland. Graduate of North Hagerstown High School and got my college degree from Shippensburg University, not too far up the road. And very excited to be back and working in our home community.
And your previous places of employment, how has what you learned there been translated to what you're doing here for Hospice of Washington County?
Sure. I have a buffet of experience from a variety of employers. I always joke, my dad used to always say, you know, whatever it takes to build your character and get up early before the birds so you can make it happen and get it done. And I think a lot of the industries that I've been in, out of college, there weren't a lot of jobs available, so I actually started with Walmart Inc., the Sam's division of the Walmart side when it came to town here in Hagerstown, and they have a philosophy of teaching you everything about the business. So I kind of learned a lot of business perspective, and I learned a lot of personnel perspective. And then I took that and translated it and went to work in the trucking industry for Mr. Bowman. And again, had a wealth of knowledge that I could use from a safety perspective, and human resources kind of has a lot of safety, workers' compensation, how to keep the employees safe on board. And then kind of transitioned into engineering, and then lastly got involved in healthcare. And so every role that I've played has added to, I'll say, my bag of tricks or my bag of experience so that I can help to see a vision of what would be helpful and supportive for staff, regardless of the role that they're going to play on the job. I really believe that human resources is about being a resource for the humans.
Oh, that's
and
true.
So whether or not you're the gentleman that comes in on third shift to clean up the building and make sure the AC is working in the summer and the heat's working in the winter, to the physician or nurse that's out giving frontline care to a patient who may be transitioning on, I believe it's really important to make sure that the human resources team, including me, is there and available to make sure all the little I's behind the scenes get dotted so that they can do the best they can do out in the world.
That's terrific. That's super. Can you tell us just why you decided to accept this position? What does it mean to be back here in Washington County?
Well, quite honestly, it means a whole heck of a lot, Bernadette. I am extremely excited to be back in my hometown. Most recently, I came from a home health and hospice organization. It was quite large outside of our community. I loved the vision and the mission, but it was just really difficult to be far away. And when I saw the opportunity for a similar role was in my hometown, I thought, wow, not only is it great that physically it's close to me, but it's also amongst the community that I grew up in and the people, you know, I'm side by side with, shopping and seeing on the weekends and being in the neighborhood with. And I also don't just want to be a resource for the humans from a perspective of supporting people in the job. I want to also be able to invest myself in the programs that we have available for people and in the goodness that we take out to the community. So I saw it kind of a partnership. Yay, I can apply my business and practical HR skills, but also yay, I can really, you know, invest the passion I have for the people in my community into an organization I really believe in.
That's terrific. What is, do you have a specific goal in mind, something you really want to target at Hospice of Washington County, an area you want to invest yourself in or strengthen?
Well, when I came on board, before I came on board and I was talking around to different managers and directors, and then after I came on board, a couple of, one of the things I like to do is find out what people need from me first, instead of just coming in saying, well, you need this. I like to find out what do people need. And it seems like, kind of everywhere, people always like to have ongoing training and development. It's tough dealing with the humans when you're on the job, especially those people who are in management or supervisory roles. A lot of times we'll promote people to higher positions, but they may not be equipped with the personal skills or the development skills to help shoulder their staff and move them up or help them improve on the job. So one of the first things, I'd like to do is to help our staff, our senior staff, management level, work on training and development and give them the platform to make better decisions and to be more confident in how they're developing their staff and managing their staff.
And did you also say you wanted to do something with technology?
Oh, absolutely. I'm a big fan of keeping things simple. My past experiences, I've dabbled a little bit with lean processes, and I like the thought process of, how can we do this better? Why do we do it this way? I'm a big question asker, and I warned everybody at Hospice of Washington County, I ask a lot of questions just to try to get my head around things, because I think a lot of times things evolve, and we keep doing it that way, and we forget that there's other options available. So, for example, sometimes we lay heavy on paperwork and manual processes because that's just kind of the way we started doing it. But we forget there's better ways. So, I've seen things where we need to fill out a form 3 times or in triplicate and get multiple signatures in order to make a simple process happen. So I'd like to encourage and work with the staff to talk about, can we kind of streamline this? Is there a way that we can save your time and energy from signing things and pushing papers around and invest more in using our technology that's available and allow you time to be out and seeing your patients, or getting the facility cleaned if that's what you do, or overseeing the case management staff if that's what you need to do. So I'm a big fan of that.
Well, thank you so much, Lara. I'd like to thank Lara for taking time from her busy day to join us. In every organization, the HR director plays a critical role that significantly impacts success. Peter F. Drucker, referred to as the founder of modern management, said, "Management is doing things right. Leadership is doing the right thing." Hospice of Washington County, which is well known for doing the right thing, is pleased to welcome Lara and look forward to doing things the right way, her way. We'll be right back after these short messages.
Arbors Carson Jewelers has been your community jeweler for over 110 years. We have the region's largest selection of diamonds, designer jewelry, including bridal, gold, and silver fashion jewelry, and fine Swiss timepieces. We strive to combine quality, expert personal attention, and affordable financing to create an exceptional shopping experience aimed at exceeding your expectations. At Carson's Jewelers, there's something for everyone that will bring a smile to that someone special in your life.
I'm the hometown favorite.
I'll outsmart you.
I will beat you.
I'll be surrounded by fans cheering me on.
There's no place like home for fighting cancer.
My turf.
My time.
My team.
Expert care, close to home. The John R. Marsh Cancer Center at Meritus Health.
People don't realize it takes a lot to care for a family member in your home. John's dad was very headstrong, so I think that was a lot for him to get over and try to come to terms with that he had a terminal illness. I would recommend to everybody to get hospice involved at the get-go. When you first learn about it, get it set up. It's going to make it, it's terrible what you're going through already, but it's going to make it easier for you in the long run because we couldn't have done it without them.
Call Hospice today. Hospice of Washington County, when time matters most.
Welcome back. It's now my privilege to welcome Kibrab Gudeta, one of Hospice of Washington County's chaplains. Kibrab earned bachelor's and master's degrees in theology from universities in Ethiopia and Norway, respectively. He also attained a Master's of Divinity from Gettysburg Seminary and is currently working on his doctoral degree at Virginia Union University. He joins us today to tell us how he provides spiritual guidance to those varying religious traditions and to those with no religious traditions at all. Thank you for being here.
It's good to be here.
Thank you so much. So Kibrab, first let me just say that's a lot of schooling. Yes. Has studying in 3 different countries shaped your understanding of spirituality in any way?
And I would say yes, because as you go from one place to another place, and one thing that you realize is that the culture is different, and not only the culture, but the value system that the people live in is also different. So it allows you to open your mind and look at things and how people look at things, which is a little different from what you grew up in learning. So I did learn a lot of things about spirituality that I did not know when I was back in Ethiopia. And also it gave me an opportunity to look back at my own spirituality and how I look at it. And so, yes, it influenced my understanding of spirituality.
And what is your definition of spirituality?
Well, we know that there are different kinds of spirituality and different kinds of definition for spirituality. But the one that we often use in healthcare setting, and especially in hospice, is that which gives you meaning and purpose in your life. And the reason that we say that is spirituality always deals with the big questions of life. Who am I? And what is my purpose? What is the meaning of my life? What do I do in this world? How do I relate with others? And what are the things that I will be remembered for if I die? And where do I go when I die? And these are the big questions in life. So those are the things that people deal with on a daily basis. And so spirituality covers that. And that's why, because of this definition, that it deals with meaning and purpose in life, that we believe that every person is spiritual because every person deals with these big questions of life. And we encourage people from all kinds of tradition and religion to consider spirituality and spiritual care from hospice when they're admitted. And
do you work with patients' pastors if they have a church that they belong to?
We do. That's actually one of the things we tell them, is that even though they can have a pastor and they can be active, and what we provide is on the top of what they get from the pastors. We give an opportunity for the pastor to remain as the pastor, and then we come in and provide also extra support. So in our presence, our chaplains are trained with the clinical pastoral education, which addresses issues like crisis and situations like this, because we know that when there is a problem, like health problem, our quest for spirituality increases, our quest for meaning. What does that mean? How do I relate to that? What are the things I expect from here? So if this is it, this is my life. So we encourage the family and the patients to consider our service, even though they can't have a pastor. And we work together with the pastors. And like with the Catholic patients, a lot of time they want the right of the anointing of the sick. And then we call them, and we try to schedule that and facilitate the relationship between the pastor.
And I know that you told me you're not only just there for the patient and their families, but that the chaplains also support hospice staff. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. When we go to the patient, we always tell them that we're not only there for the patient, we're there for the family. And of course, family is defined by the patient. We don't define for them, but whoever, like their neighbors sometimes who are considered as a family. And so we do that, and also for our own staff. Now we are a part of the team, and hospice care is a little emotionally, it's a little difficult for all of us to deal with. And we support each other, and we're going to make sure that our nurses and our social workers are supported spiritually and emotionally with our presence. So we try to tell the family not to ignore our service, because we need our staff also need us.
Right. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. I'd like to thank Key-Rod for sharing his thoughts on spirituality with us today. His words are reminiscent of Ralph Waldo Emerson, who said, "Though you may travel the world to find the beautiful, you must have it within you or you will not find it." I'd also like to thank you for tuning in to today's program, and I hope that each of you find that which gives your life meaning and purpose. Have a great day. See you next time.
Looking through the lens, I see you smiling then. I take a photograph. In my mind you'll never fade, a million winding roads.